Wicked problems are complex and tortuous societal issues. Marijuana legalization is one of these as it influences and is influenced by multiple social determinants of health. Over the past few years, legalization of marijuana has become an increasingly debated issue. Marijuana, also known as cannabis, is one of the most commonly used drugs in Canada. According to the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act, it is currently illegal to possess, produce, or traffic cannabis in Canada, and violators can be fined, suspended, or imprisoned. In 2011, marijuana offenses in Canada accounted for 69% of all drug offenses, costing the government between $1 and $1.5 billion. The dynamic interaction of legislation and social determinants of health can lead to a vicious cycle in which individuals with lower socioeconomic status are more prone to use marijuana as a coping mechanism, and the resulting criminal charge makes it difficult for marijuana users to find work, which perpetuates the cycle.
There are a variety of pros and cons to the use of marijuana. Tetrahydrocannabinol, THC, the active ingredient in marijuana, can alter brain structure and release neurochemicals that affect cognition and motor performance. Effects of marijuana use include impaired short-term memory, altered judgment leading to high-risk behaviors, psychosis, addiction, poor educational attainment, chronic bronchitis, and increased rates of psychotic and mood disorders. Cessation can lead to withdrawal symptoms like hot flashes, the munchies, sweating, hiccups, and an overall inner sense of unrest.
There's a lot of stigma around marijuana use. However, cigarette use is more strongly associated with lung cancer, emphysema, and coronary heart disease. Some evidence actually supports the use of marijuana as an adjunct therapy to treat certain medical conditions. Chronic pain, nausea associated with chemotherapy, anorexia experienced by those with AIDS, and seizures or spasms associated with epilepsy and multiple sclerosis. It is important to recognize that the problems surrounding marijuana are unlikely to be eliminated entirely. Rather, emphasis should be put on developing policies that lead to harm reduction and benefit the majority of the population.
Policy option number 1 is maintaining current regulations. Currently, marijuana production and trafficking results in fines and a minimum jail sentence of 1 to 2 years, and the punishments increase proportionally to the amount of marijuana. According to Statistics Canada, marijuana use among teenagers has been on the decline, so keeping marijuana illegal may continue this trend. However, other societal factors may be at play in the decline of marijuana use. In addition, keeping marijuana illegal would not address the cost of law enforcement or help facilitate preventative and health education initiatives.
Decriminalization is a milder form of criminalization in which marijuana use is not permitted, but the punishments are reduced to fines rather than imprisonment. This would decrease the civil costs related to enforcing marijuana laws, while still discouraging marijuana use and reducing the harmful social consequences related to it. Unfortunately, decriminalization may result in increased use of the drug, and means that cannabis remains unregulated and cannot be taxed.
Policy option number 3 is controlled legalization. The goal of this policy would be to allow for a harm reduction strategy that promotes the safer use of marijuana. The legalization of marijuana would allow for the production, distribution, and use of the drug within set parameters. Legalization can mitigate cannabis-related crime involvement and violence and allow for research and health education. Controlled legalization would also allow for marijuana tax revenues to be used to create and run harm reduction programs aimed at safe use, health promotion strategies, and hard drug cessation. Any production, growing, selling, trading, or usage of marijuana outside the established laws would result in consequences from fines to incarceration time. Unfortunately, legalization may increase use and distribution, especially amongst youth, as the perceived risk of harm and fear of fines and imprisonment would be removed. Recognizing that the current legislation does not serve as an effective deterrent to smoking cannabis, we recommend option 3, controlled legalization. This would mean setting specific production regulations to address the amount of THC embedded, the amount each producer is permitted to grow, for example size restrictions for plot lands, and regular quality control testing. Legal sale of marijuana would be in specified amounts via government-regulated sellers and producers. Affordable prices would encourage individuals to abide by the new cannabis laws. Importantly, growing and selling of marijuana would only be permitted for those over the age of 18. Marijuana users under the age of 18 would be referred to a restorative justice program, which would include workshops that provide education about the harmful effects of underage marijuana use. Ultimately, legalization would allow for the establishment of comprehensive, evidence-based efforts designed to help reduce harm associated with marijuana use.
Created using Powtoon.